arraignment took place on Friday around lunchtime. And more details about the case had come out, like the fact that the perpetrators themselves were kids. Kids, local kids that everyone who's from around here has some relationship to. So then a judge comes in and does a reading of the facts.
The defendants, Aaron James McKinney, Russell Arthur Henderson, met Matthew Shepard at the Fireside Bar. And after Mr. Shepard confided he was gay, the subjects deceived Mr. Shepard into leaving with them in their vehicle to a remote area. En route to said location, Mr. Shepard was struck in the head with a pistol. And upon arrival at said area, both subjects tied their victim to a buck fence, robbed him, tortured him, and continued to beat and terrorize him.
When I got to the fence, I seen what appeared to be a young man, 13, 14 years of age, because he was so tiny laying there and he was bound to the bottom of the pole.
What did you do?
I did the best I could. He was covered in dry blood all over his head, and the only place that there wasn't any blood was what appeared to be where he had been crying down his face. You know, he did not look normal. I could tell that he had a very harsh head wound.
You expect these kinds of injuries from somebody crashing down a hill in a car at 80 miles an hour. You expect to see gross injuries from something like that, this horrendous, terrible thing. But you don't expect to see someone doing this to another person.
His hands were thumbs out, what we call the cuffing position. That's how we handcuff people. He was tied with a real thin white rope, and it was wound around the bottom of the pole, about 4 inches up off the ground. His shoes were missing. He was tied extremely tight, so I used my boot knife and I tried to slip it in there between the rope and his wrist. I had to be extremely careful so as not to harm Matthew any further.